everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you 3 artist trading cards made in mixed media style, mostly with just stuff that's on my desk. I've decided for the rest of the month of September I want to do small things. I love doing this small, tiny little things, altered tags, ATCs, making cards, things like that. And I've mostly been making a lot of larger stuff, canvases and bigger things. And of course, next month, the month of October 2021, is daily art journaling. So I'll be making a video every day with an art journal page. So I thought as we round out September, I would make small things. I have this box, as you saw, full of backgrounds for ATCs. Some of them have been given to me by other people, some of them I've made, and I decided to get those out and then the stuff on my desk and just play. This is so relaxing to me. This is something I really enjoyed doing. It's not mindless, but it's almost mindless. It's just really getting into what I'm doing and the focus of what I'm doing on the desk and not worrying about anything else, not worrying about what's for dinner, not worrying about do I need to do the shopping, do I need the laundry, whatever. I can just go into my studio, sit down, and do something like this. There are lots of groups out there on Facebook and Instagram where you can trade ATCs if you want to do that. I don't trade them. I just send them to people. As I'm sending out mail, I just pop one of those in there. I put information about myself on the back, my social media stuff, and I made it in, and then that stuff. And I mail them out when I do mail. So they're just fun to make. Fun. If people receive them, they could pop a little magnet on the back and hang it on the refrigerator or whatever. I don't know. They're just little tiny pieces of art that can focus you. Even if you're planning on doing a larger piece that day, you might want to start out with something like this. ATCs are 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, if you guys don't know. So this first one had what looked like maybe watercolor, some type of smooth blends on the card. Not sure where it came from. Looks like it's mixed media paper or manila cardstock maybe. And I had received some Happy Mail, a thank you note, and this little stamped flower was on the back of it, and it's kind of a light green paper envelope. I save stuff from envelopes. If people decorate their envelopes, I save stuff off of it to use. Of course, I don't own this stamped image, so it gives me an opportunity to use it, and I just think it's fun. I also save postage stamps. If they're colorful, interesting postage stamps, I save them. I have a whole bin full of them, and I like to use them in my collage. So I save everything really. It's a little maybe a little bit obsessive, but I like it. I like to be able to have that type of stuff to use. So I tore out the little flower from the envelope. I cut out a little piece of kind of a terracotta colored paper. It looks like it's deli paper that had some paint on it, and I glued those two things down. Then I made a pot. I also put some light yellow paper across the back to make a horizon line. And then I grabbed a little postage stamp, like I was saying. The same batch of Happy Mail happened to have these 3 postage stamps. So I tore one of them off and stuck it down because it was yellow and it matched the flower. And it also, kind of beefed up that horizon line at the 1/3, 2/3 down at the bottom there. So then I went to use a pen because there was a place on the stamped image that wasn't all the way impressed, like there was a bit missing. So I was going to draw in the lines with my Pentel pocket brush, which is an India ink brush pen. And the paper where I had watercolored it was still wet. And I should have known that. I mean, duh, right? So it made a blob because the wet paper absorbed the India ink. So then I spent probably as much time as I did making the card fixing my little boo-boo. I added some white acrylic by using my Posca pen, and then I went back over with my watercolors. This is a Gamzee Tambai um, Japanese watercolor set. It is more like gouache than it is watercolor. Most of the colors are pretty opaque, which watercolor is not. So they don't call it gouache, but it is. It just is. So yeah, you can see I'm fixing that up. Um, by going over the stamped lines, this makes it look more like I drew it, even though it was a stamped image also. So if you want a more painterly look, you can draw over the lines of a stamp. So then to finish this up, I took a ball stylus tool, stick with some metal pieces that have a ball on the end in different sizes, and I dipped it into the wet of that green watercolor and made some dots across the horizon line. And then this watercolor set is the only one that I have that has metallics in it. And it has this coppery bronze colored metallic paint that I really like. And so I used that on the terracotta pot vase across the top, and then I added some dots as well with that. And it's shimmery and metallic-y. It's really pretty, pretty, pretty. So I hope you'll be able to see that in the picture coming up right now. Yep, you can see it. It doesn't look as shimmery as it does in person, but I also added a little bit of Winkostella to the flower to make a little bit more area shimmery, but you can't see that either. And I did that at the very end. So my next ATC is this. I know that I made this background. I know that it was a masterboard. I can't remember what I made it for, but I cut it up at some point, and it has different layers of acrylic paint, stenciling, and then some sort of collage of what looks like maybe a napkin or tissue paper. That's kind of a print. It looks very jungly or African savanna-y or something. The colors, and I thought it would look good to draw a fierce animal on there. And so I decided to draw a leopard. I grabbed my phone and I pulled up a picture of a leopard, and then I drew from that using my Pentel Graph Gear 2000 mechanical pencil. And then after that, I went over the lines with my Pentel pocket brush again, which is the India ink brush pen that has you can go from a very fine line to a fat line because it's a brush. Sorry about my voice, guys. A lot of talking today. So, what I like about doing illustrations with this pen, usually when I illustrate, or in the past when I've illustrated, which means draw, I like to vary my line weight because it makes the drawing look more organic. A printer can print out all the lines to look exactly the same millimeter width, but when you draw by hand, it looks more organic. And so what I used to do is I would use the small pigment pen to draw my lines, and then I'd go back in with a little bit fatter pen and maybe a smaller pen too, and add width, or maybe throw in some detail lines that were smaller to give the illustration more of a hand-drawn look. But if you're using this pen, it automatically has different, depending on how hard you press, I would say it's very difficult to keep it all one line width. So it does make it look very hand-drawn, which is what I wanted. So it's kind of a little shortcut for illustration. Also, India ink, once dry, is permanent. But this India ink brushed pen is very wet, and so you do need to remember to dry it, which you will see me in a second forgetting that little point. I drew this, I think it's a female leopard. I believe it's a female leopard. I'm not sure how to tell the difference between a male or a female leopard, to be honest. I know that in other big cat species like lions, the male has a mane and the female doesn't. But in the case of leopards, just really not sure. I'm sure that there is someone out there who will tell me how. But of course, the picture I was using as reference was just from the neck up of the head. And when I made my drawing, she looked like a fierce female. And so I gave her a crown, and I used that same coppery, bronzy, metallic paint from the Gansey Tambai set. I also used some white and mixed some white with some yellow and made, some interest to her fur. If I was going to be a cat, this is the cat I would want to be. I think leopards are really cool. I have painted my face and wore a leopard suit many times at Halloween. It's my favorite. So I just like it. I think it's cool. I think they're cool. If I was going to be a shifter, I'd want to be a leopard shifter. You know, like that. So yeah, I just keep going in and touching up. At one point, I smeared the ink and had to clean it up, but this background has so many layers on it in medium that it was easy to wipe it off. I also printed a thermal printer label that says fierce, and when I was drawing, I kind of I darkened up the top part of that label so it's not pure white anymore. And I don't really care. I think it looks cool because it reacts to heat, and I was using my heat tool. So then on the top of her crown, I put a diamond, a big old diamond right in the middle of it because she deserved a big shiny diamond. Not a real diamond. It's a stick-on gem, but you get the idea. So there you have it, my fierce leopardess. Would that be the right thing to say? I don't know. So for my third ATC, I am using a background that someone gave me, and it is collaged onto a paint chip card because I can see Valspar on the back. And it looks as though it has several layers of napkin collage on it. And there's also some nice fluorescent pink, which is why I picked it. I liked it. And I did trim it down. I wanted it to have a frame, and so I took it over to my big guillotine cutter and cut a 1/4 inch off each side. Remember, ATCs are 2.5 by 3.5. Some people are very fussy. If you're gonna exchange with people, you need to make sure that you get the size right because they get kind of grumpy about it. Same size as a baseball card, same size as a playing card, same size as a Yu-Gi-Oh card or a Pokemon card. All those trading cards are the same. So I cut a black background to mount this on so that it would have a frame because I picked out this printed image that was sent to me in Happy Mail, and she was wearing a black beret and black long gloves, a black belt. So I thought a black frame around it would be a good idea. The sign that she was holding was hilarious, and I wished that I could put it on there, but it was too big. It wouldn't fit. So this is a different one that was on a different thing, and I trimmed it down I really trimmed it down, and then I'm going to have to draw the frame back in because I had to make it much smaller to fit on the ATC. But I will use that other little sign some other time because it was really funny. It said, "Don't wear a bra. It drags the wrinkles out of your face, drags down the wrinkles from your face," or something like that. It was funny. Anyway, so this one says out of order, and I thought that could mean multiple things. It could mean that her whole body is just out of order. I know mine is. I've been sitting down too much. I haven't been getting any exercise. I haven't been going anywhere. I'm mentally and physically exhausted by just working in my studio all day, which is mostly just sitting. So I understand how your body could feel out of order. Also, maybe she is a legal chick and maybe she's a judge or something and she's saying out of order, and making people stop talking. So I thought it was a decent sign to put on there. No problemos. So then I glued it down. I went around the edges with a green pen and made a shadow so that it you know fades into the background a little bit more and seems it more integrated. And then I used Posca pen, white and black, to draw back in the frame around the sign and to pop out those white dots a little bit more. So now the light is shining in my window and making this very weird. I have to stop working, but I wanted to finish this one. I got out a Wink of Stella glitter pen and I glittered the entire background of this. And I hope it'll show up in the photos that are coming up. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you have questions about ATCs or something that I did, or you just want to say hi, leave me a comment below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notification bells. That's it for me. Thanks. Bye-bye.